Welcome back to the stream. We will continue playing through Pillars of Eternity as we progress into the Gilded Vale from where we left off. Okay,
Not a problem.
not a problem at all. The Gilded Vale. What are we getting ourselves into here? Oh. The Hanging Tree, I assume it's called. Oh, hi there.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
He glances at the gnarled, leafless monstrosity of a tree next to him. Yeah, recent indeed. Do you welcome everyone this way? The only answer you hear is the buzzing of flies from the tree.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a Hollowborn child?
Um,
Are
no.
you absolutely certain? Lord Raderick has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst.
He steps to the side and inclines his head ever so slightly toward the deformed tree.
His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn just southwest of here.
I don't think he'd care about a murder, personally. But I'll try it. I'd like to report a murder. The magistrate raises a brow, as is your duty. What was happened? The man called Naunton has killed his friend, Pearlie, out in the wilds. A cruel and cowardly deed, if, indeed, it occurred at all. What evidence do you have? I had a vision of the victim's final moments. I saw the crime unfold. 'Cause I'm psychic. Yeah, we're not gonna admit to that yet. Urgit nods slowly. These are not accusations to make lightly. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understand our rules. You said something about Hollowborn and Wadewind's legacy before. He blinks. I forget that you foreigners do not have this curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. He lowers his voice to a whisper. Children born without souls. He shakes his head. Pitiful, dumb things that breathe, barely, but do not truly live. Some say the Hollowborn are a disease, some say they are a punishment from the gods. He raises his empty hands. In truth, no one knows. but they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Waidwin's Legacy stuck in honor of that foul, blasphemous pretender. His voice shakes with vitriol. Lord Raedric's decrees may seem strict at times, but he has our best interests at heart. He nods. Before I go here, I'm assuming that says before I go, not got here, but what? I saw several people conducting a strange ceremony near some ruins. He regards you carefully. You'll want to mind where you mention that. Trespassing on Engwethan ruins is illegal, not to mention dangerous. You probably saw someone attempting some new ritual to appease the gods. People will try anything these days. Barath have mercy. We certainly have. I don't think there was a Bayoak just as they finished. Or was there? I don't recall. Maybe so. Like I said, it's best to stay away from those sorts of places. I've been feeling strange ever since a close call with the Bayoak. Is there someone in town who could help?
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Raedric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all.
I guess so?
But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit.
Oh, lovely.
My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
He's so humble.
Keep out of...
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last.
3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed. 3 bells toll only for the death of a Raedric. I fear Lord Raedric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
What do you mean? You come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy has struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Barath must be redoubled. He sets a steady gaze on you. Does this affect the Lord's offer to new settlers? I can be sure of nothing right now. I advise you to get some rest, the inn, or a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I will know more soon enough. Well. Sellsword and an archer. Do. Villagers, tell me more after I get this. Oh, I guess I can't go that way. Never mind, tell me more. The crops were blighted, the legacy is upon us. This place is cursed. Black Hound Inn's a fine place to sit and have a smoke. Poor Alfra is so worried about her child. I don't blame her. Hello, Thiel. Oh, as you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. Sure, why not? You see a pennant waving tall and sluggish in the wind, a rising sun embroidered on the banner. Vanguard of a small troop of paladins. The atmosphere is buoyant if restrained, and their armor has not yet been tarnished by the elements. This expedition is fresh, young, filled with zest and zeal. At their head stands a commander, awkward in full armor, but determined in step. Despite the excitement of his fellows, he does not smile. There's a twist to his mouth, his countenance grim. He throws up a hand, halting his troops. Silence falls among them, revealing a dark thunder, deep and low. He orders them to ready their weapons and spread out. Eyes dart from horizon to horizon, necks twisting to see the source of the sound. In the distance, dust and lightning rise from the ground as Stygian clouds race towards them overhead. The soldiers stand, only the staccato movement of their breath betraying their nerves. The commander closes his eyes, calling a blessing down on his troops. Invigorated, invincible, they wait as the enemy draws closer, poised to attack. Okay then. Can they still talk to you or no? No. Well, you, sir, are interesting. Beneath the vines are crude carvings over 3 stars. Not going down the stairs yet. Must explore. Oh, let's go that way. Some nice ruins. In a place called Gilded Vale.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Looking for anyone who can help me feel better. Strange way to talk about your dead. He looks up at the tree and breathes out. Half the town's up there now. Seems like no right way to talk about it. I'm looking for someone who can help me feel better. He gives an understanding nod as he takes a long drag from his pipe. My condolences. He exhales and turns his attention away, watching the village around him. Well now. Scattered between the roots are bracelets of twine and bead, wilting flowers and notes half erased by the rains. Get me some moss. What do we have? What do we have? Ooh. We got the temple that is destroyed. Aurfra's house. Aurfra? Ingrid's house. A windmill. Road east. Black Hammer Smithery. The Black Hound Inn. Road south and the road west. Do I even have much? I guess I have stuff to sell. So there is that. With my 188 copper. Copper. Black Hammer Smithery. Smithers! Wow, it's a lot bigger on the inside. Got an apprentice, some guards, some nice weapons. Dented and dull, these swords look ready for the forge. Yeah, we're not stealing anything. That would be not good. Hello, Harlan. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. You see a man crouching, repetitious and alone. A series of untamed shrubs, all that hides him from the vision ahead. His eyes are locked on a Delimgan? Beautiful and terrible, eyes half lidded as she hums. A bird with fantastic blue and orange plumage sits on her shoulder. Trilling gently, and the man is entranced. Trembling, tentative, he stands, and the tranquility is broken by the bird's startled squawk. The Delimgan half smiles, beckoning with twig-like fingers. She does not speak as he approaches. His mouth is dripping sounds of awe and admiration. She waits, coy and tempting, and with agonizing slowness he is before her. Then something changes. She sees something hanging limply from his side and begins to hiss. Fingers suddenly claws, and eyes black with hate. He has no time to reach for his axe or grimoire as she strikes, and just as soon as she strikes, she is gone. The only evidence of her existence, the shuddering wreck on the ground. He grabs at his grimoire nevertheless and begins to chant, but the words of a magical language of his own imagining, scribbled in a maniacal shorthand, ring hollow, and the silence continues unabated. He turns and shrugs at someone or something but if there is something there, you do not see it. Interesting. So I literally cannot talk to anybody while I have this sickness. Or at least specific people. Dwagon Steel Collar. Let's see what your past is like. You see a group of adventurers surrounded by a crowd of attacking Zaurips. This man is with them, seemingly unconcerned by the battle, even detached from it as he stands in the middle of his comrades chanting, his expression bordering on elation. His voice is powerful and deep, booming out across the combatants as a rich counterpoint to the chaos of their fighting. With every phrase, the battlefield changes. His allies glow with a pulsing blue light, freezing the Zaurips that surround them. A blazing pyre erupts from the ground, cutting and burning the creatures, and sending them scattering. One of the fallen Zaurips suddenly explodes as 3 giant grubs crawl from its corpse and attack the remaining enemies. The man continues to chant, thoroughly enthralled in the joy of the moment. Finally, the creatures have been reduced to 1. His allies stand back as the man approaches him, still chanting. He removes his hammer and swings it at the Zaurip. His phrase ends as the hammer connects with its head, punctuating the spell and bringing his song to an end. So he is a chanter. If I couldn't tell. An account of Tautanu's sales. The pages are nearly empty. Wow. This Aomawa man is of an impressive build, towering above the countertop. His skin is the dusky blue of the deeper oceans, and his thick arms boast corded muscles. Small ears frame a square-jawed face coated in smeared soot and arcing black tattoos alike. He offers you a broad smile as you approach. Welcome! You're the first new face I've seen in quite some time. What can I do for you? What do you have here? You come to us at a strange time, I'm afraid. The stock's not what it used to be, but we find weapons and armor to offer yet, all forged right here at the Blackhammer. Show me what you have for sale. Of course, you won't find finer anywhere else. Yeah, stuff I cannot afford. I'm pretty much using a mace, so... Dun, dun, dun. Pry bar. Effective for prying open certain types of containers, but not especially useful on doors due to the uneven and narrow distribution of its leverage. Ooh. Throw that back. I was wanting to look at it. Grappling hooks can be used to anchor a rope to locations that may be hard to reach by foot. Though often used to scale high walls, they have many potential applications. The usefulness of the rope is limited only by the imagination of the adventurer carrying it, or the programming of the video game. Can I sell stuff? I guess I should wait. Maybe? I can wait. I can wait. Where are we going? Check out these houses. The windmill. Let's check out the windmill. It's a villager. Deerford is far better than us. Oh, hi. Swainer. We know there's more grain in there, Trombell. We won't settle for scraps while you grow it fat on our crops. A muffled shouting emerges from inside the mill. A First of you drunkards comes through that door gets a shot between the eyes. Gods hear me, Swainir. I'll put you down like a dog. Come away for now, lads, but we'll be back, Drumbell, and we'll have fair prices, or by the flame, we'll have a reckoning. New task, against the grain. Stop. No, they're gone. So much for that. I see mushrooms. Hi, mushrooms. That poor windmill. That's seen better days. Oh, hi there. Oh god. An elven man stands before you. His relatively stocky build suggests a life of labor. His face is pale and drawn and his eyes wide. Behind him, a younger man and woman exchange worried glances. The miller raises a club as you enter. He shakes violently. It shakes violently in his grip. Get back, if you value your life. Yeah, put that down before you get yourself hurt. Drumbell only raises the club higher. I mean it. I won't have Swainir and his lackeys threatening me in my own mill. My name is Caleb. I've only just arrived in Gilded Vale. Drumbell shakes his head. You picked a bad time to come visiting. Gilded Vale's had all its shine scraped off. Just a big dung heap now. Swainir thinks he's king of it. They're all of them mad. So what was all that ruckus outside? Drumbell shakes his head. Where to begin? Swainir's whipped them up into a froth going on about the grain stores. Claims I've hidden away most of it. All I do with the grain is sell it. I can't create it out of thin air, and I can't hand it out for free. I pay the farmers for the crops they bring in, and I sell what comes out of the mill. Most of it goes to the Black Hound, on the west side of town, for ale. And Swainir and his lot sure don't mind that part. You take a look at the fields on the way into town. The crop's blighted, and most of what I'm getting from the farmers? Trumbull gestures to the sacks and containers. It's gone off, rotten through. I can't pay top prices for blighted wheat, and I barely got enough good grain to go around. Swainir's howling after things he has no right to. I mean, I wouldn't consider him lying. Seems like a pretty clean story for a messy situation. Oh, frowns. It's not. He pauses. Look, Swainir's always been a rotten bastard. With stores so limited, maybe I save the good stuff for people who deserve it. Alfra, for instance. She's expecting a child. Should I let her starve instead? Do the villagers know about the grain supply? Trumbull looks embarrassed. Some. The innkeeper, for instance. It's better not to worry anyone. I'll be trading for supplies soon enough. If we can just keep things calm until then, we'll be in the clear. The innkeeper? I wouldn't drink the ale, is all I'm saying. Okay, don't drink the ale. Maybe I ought to go have a talk with Swainir then. The miller all but sags with relief. It'd be grateful if you did. He won't listen to me anymore, but maybe you'll have better luck. Tell him we're all having a hard time of it, and we'll all have to make some sacrifices. We'll be in your debt for it, if you can convince him. Don't mind me, just gonna look around. And not steal stuff. I'm sure Father can explain better just what's happened here. Oh.
How do you do?
Hi. Nope, haven't done it yet. Leaving now. Bye. Goodbye. Next house. Hello. Just wandering into random people's houses of this town that I've just visited out of nowhere. This man and woman appear to have been deep in conversation, working at closing two bulging satchels. They move to embrace until the woman notices your approach and pauses, her smile faltering a little.
Well met, friend.
Can we help you? She looks to her companion, brows furrowing with confusion. Do you know this man, Danton? Uh-oh. Yes, I think we met in the Valewood. I warned him about the bear. He inclines his head. Glad to see you made it. Was there something else you wanted? You two seem to be in a hurry. Yes, I imagine so, Ingrid laughs. We're packing up for a trip. Actually, I've been meaning to visit Defiance Bay, and she looks at Nanton. Well, in truth, I think I've had my fill of this town. Nanton reaches to take her hand. It's time for some new scenery, he says. Yeah, I know what really happened in that bear cave, Nanton. The color drains from Nanton's face. I don't know what you mean. I told you the truth of it. Sure you did. Are you accusing him of something? Ingrid looks to Nanton, touching his arm. If this is about the accident, we're both grieving Pearlie's loss, but it was a wild animal's doing. Nanton shakes his head minutely. You see it tremble in his hands. What would make you suggest such a thing? Had a vision in the cave. I saw Pearlie's last moments as he lived them. I saw you cut him with the knife. That's not possible, Nanton stares at you. How could you possibly know? His hand falls to his sword belt. I left no sign. Nanton, wait, Ingrid raises a hand. I don't know what you saw in that cave, but this isn't what you think. Pearlie, my husband, he was as much a beast as that bear. I tried to leave the first time. I suffered his temper, but he wouldn't have it. She looks away, expression pained. Nanton, we met, and I knew I'd found someone special, someone kind, who cared for me, and backstabs people. Please, we all want to leave this place, to start somewhere else. She looks down at the satchels. We've some coin saved up. You could have it, if you'll only let us go. Decisions. I mean, being lawful, I would go to the magistrate. But I mean, how truthful is it of the marriage? I mean, this town isn't the greatest. I'll take it to the magistrate then. I don't know what you think you tell the magistrate. A story about a dream you had? Nanton sneers. But you won't take this from us. Not when we're so close. And not for that wretched Pearlie. Nanton draws his blade. Oh, okay, fine. We try to be civilized. I mean, I'm wondering if I take out Nanton, if Ingrid will stop. We'll try. Probably a bad plan, but we'll see. Oh, maybe not. Getting some good hits on Ingrid. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Death to our enemies!
Oh, Nanton. Could have been better.
The fight is ours!
Stupid heal over time. It's annoying. Your woman is dead. Give up. Yeah. There we go. Oh. We soon maimed or killed. Yes, it's fine. Health reaches 0, the character immediately drop. Depending on your difficult settings, the character will either be maimed or killed. The maimed character suffers severe combat penalties and will die if they take any additional damage. I'll be fine. See, we're good. Oh, Nanton. We tried. We tried. But alas. Oh. Take all that.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. Deerwood Part 2, The Broken Stone War. Goodbye, House of Ingrid. Oh, Nanton. Oh, more villagers. Oh. Rudolfir? And Dornan. I guess I have to sense them. Yep. Reach out for the soul. You see a large crowd gathered in the middle of a courtyard. This man stands in the midst of them, a cloak pulled over his head, holding it close around his neck. The crowd is congregated around a platform, and they all watch, transfixed as a man is led to the platform, flanked by 2 city guardsmen. The man is shackled hand and foot, but carries himself as a nobleman, not deigning to even glance at the crowd. The cloaked man pulls his cover closer around his face and turns to leave, hunching over to avoid being seen. A crier on the platform unrolls a parchment and begins to read, but the man pays no attention, intent on getting away from the courtyard. The crier's voice grows louder and more intense as he reads, and voice from the crowd start to punctuate his sentences. The jeers and shouts grow more frequent with each one. The cloaked man flinches and his shoulders droop. He breaks from the crowd, coming to the edge of the courtyard as the crier reaches the end of his proclamation. The crowd grows silent again, save for the occasional shout. The man turns back to look at the platform, seeing his father kneeling before the block, neck exposed. The executioner moves into position, lifting his axe to strike. The man turns suddenly, unable to watch. There is a wet thunk, and the crowd breaks into cheers and applause. He leans against the wall, regaining his composure, then straightens up. With obvious resolve, he strides off, away from the crowd and his legacy. Cool. And then Rudolph here. You see a pair of immaculately polished leather boots and an impeccably maintained goatee. Their owner, a slightly hook-nosed man with a wicked grin and narrow eyes. He bobs his feathered hat at a nearby merchant as he ambles by, a small piece of parchment held tight in his hand, ink staining his fair fingers. He seems to know most of the merchants in the market, stopping to engage them, nodding at others and even bartering for minor goods with a select few, always smiling, all laughing and exchanging jibes. He approaches a heavy-set Amawa, smile plastered stiff across his face, and jokes about the weather. She jokes back, subtly palming him several gold coins. When he walks away, the paper in his hand is gone, and the smile on his face far more genuine. He tips his cap at her, winking, and trundles off with a new spring in his step. So I'm assuming these are going to be people I'll get to choose or pick up as party members in my unknown quest. Gold Rot Chew. A staple of the Deerwood and countryside, Gold Rot Chew is a favorite of farmers, swear by the minor boost in energy it provides. Those who use it often find that they feel sluggish when they stop. The chew is made from the root of the golden celery plant. Interesting. Afra. To Afra's house. Hi. As long as there's no one here to attack me. Kira. Edelin. This is... oh, okay. More people? Yeah. Oh, man. You see a crowded marketplace, vendor stalls lining the road, their proprietors' voices calling out to passers-by to come sample their wares. This woman wanders through the throng, strolling hand in hand with another woman. They peruse the vendor's goods, staring at a book merchant with a number of old and beautiful tomes, chatting with one another of what they see. One will pick up a book and show it to the other, who will take it, comment on it, and place it back on the shelf. Then the first will snatch up the book again and quickly pay the merchant before the other can snatch it back. They walk away from the market, weighed down by packs filled with books, still hand in hand, standing close, comfortable and familiar with each other. As they pass down a somewhat deserted street, an object suddenly hits this woman in the chest and bounces off, rolling away toward one of the buildings. The women stop and look at the object, an apple, and then back up at the person who threw it. There is nothing special about him aside from the angry look on his face, and the two other apples he holds. Before either woman can move, the man draws back and throws another one at them, this time hitting the second woman in the forehead. He yells at them, something derisive and hateful, something about a legacy and about responsibilities. The woman raises her hand to her head and wipes the juice and bits of fruit from her face and stares the man down defiantly. The first woman squeezes her hand and puts the other of her companion's shoulders, attempting to calm her down. The other woman pulls a book from her pack and holds it before her, muttering under her breath. She pulls her hand free and waves it above the book, an aura forming around her. The first woman is still trying to calm her down, but all she says goes unheard. The man, uncaring of the events happening in front of him, draws back and throws the last apple. As it arcs through the air toward them, the second woman brings up her hand and points at the apple. A glowing orb of energy flies from her hand and strikes the apple, causing it to explode, raining bits of apple down on the road and buildings around them. The man's face changes, anger joined by fear, looking like he's trying to decide if running or attacking is the better course of action. The second woman has started chanting again, her hand glowing, her eyes narrowing. This woman steps in front of her, placing herself between her love and their attacker. She touches her face, gently stroking it while whispering calming words. A kiss. The woman's countenance changes, her eyes softening. She calms, her eyes softening, her lips regaining the lost smile. The first woman smiles again as well and kisses the other. "Wizard scum," the man behind them says, and the two women turn to face him, staring him down defiantly. They join hands and begin walking again, moving past him without so much as a sideways glance. I'm assuming this will probably be the same. No. You see a key turn gently, steady, and hear a ghostly click as the door swings inwards. Two figures slip in, locking the door behind them, and begin their prowl. Their hunt is efficient, and it takes them little time to acquire a sizable collection of documents in oddly shaped velvet pouches. Quick's hands fill pockets, rucksacks, and bags. The door opens downstairs, and everything freezes. Footsteps, a tired giggle. The thieves are all eye whites and short breath as they empty their pockets of all the necessities. Anything noisy, hurriedly replace. Silence from downstairs, then tentative steps up the staircase. A voice calls out. One thief creeps forward, the other gesticulating wildly for him to return. He continues forward, crouching by the banister. He sees a gaudy shoe and shoves. The woman... Oh, I see. He sees a gaudy shoe and shoves. The woman falls with a cut-off scream, rolling lifelessly to the floor below. Swearing, the second thief grabs her brother and they make their escape, collecting whatever value they can on their way out. Okay. The interesting people of Gilded Vale. Despite the rains, the socks feel as dry and stiff as a locust husk. Oh, there's Offer's house. I don't know whose house it was then. Some house. Hello, Afra. How are you? You have a cat. I'm gonna pet the cat.
Ready when you are.
I guess I can't pet the cat. Hello, Afra. A dear wooden woman is standing in front of the fireplace, humming a quiet tune to herself, or perhaps to her unborn child, for she is clearly quite pregnant. She turns her head slightly as you enter.
Gods keep you.
Well, finally, I was starting to think. The woman makes a startled noise when she turns around and sees you. Oh, I'm sorry, I was expecting someone else. She gives you a cautious smile. Can I help you? Nice cat. Afra smiles brightly. Oh, thank you. She's a sweetheart. Keeps the house clear of mice, too. I just arrived in Gilded Vale. I thought I'd get to know the locals. Were you with one of the caravans? She looks at you hopefully. Master Odema, by chance. I was, yes. I'm afraid the rest of the caravan was... Oh, is this? Afra covers her mouth with a hand, eyes wide with horror. For a few moments she can manage nothing but a strangled, voiceless gasping, her eyes brimming with tears. I knew I told her it was a dangerous path to take. Kalisha was always so certain she could take on any danger. Afra sniffs. Oh, my poor sister. I'm sorry, stranger. I can't believe she's gone. If only I hadn't called her here. If I hadn't written to her, she might still be alive somewhere. Afra's face crumbles and a solitary tear slides down her cheek. So, Kalisha mentioned that she thought you needed help. Perhaps I can provide some assistance. Quit your sniveling. Yeah. Afra looks at you with some surprise before dabbing at her nose with a sleeve. That's kind of you to offer, but I don't know if I could impose this on you. It's not a small favor. Afra wipes her eyes. I'm worried about the baby. About the legacy. I told Kalisha as much as I could, but all I know is that for a long time now, every child born in Gilded Vale has been soulless, empty. It's happened to so many mothers, and Lord Raedric, he's exiled all of them, calling it a sign of the gods' disfavor. She sniffs. With my Hathort gone, I don't know how I'd manage if I lost my home too. I hoped Kalisha could help me. They say Ranga, the old midwife, knows a way to prevent a child being hollowborn, but she moved south to Angslog Compass 2 seasons ago. The journey's too far for me. I can't make it as I am, but I don't have anyone else now. With Kalisha gone, more tears run down her face. Please, can you help me? Yeah, so if I cannot guide you there, I must at least bring you this cure. Afra blinks, eyes wide. You will? Oh, gods bless you. Here, I'll give you a coin to pay her with. You needn't trouble yourself with that. I think it's a drink she fashions out of, well, I'm not sure. But it shouldn't be too much of a burden to carry back. Anslog's compass is what we call the lagoon to the south. You'll have to cross the wilds to get there. That's what keeps me from trying it myself. She clasps her hands together. Thank you again, truly. You'll be saving us both. She sets a hand on her stomach, smiling through her tears. Y'all. What's that? This worn, dog-eared book is titled Travels Upon the Selglassy. There is an etched illustration of a vast finned leviathan. Ooh. Things I can steal that I don't want to steal. Unless I make everybody angry at me. And now onwards. Oh, yeah, gotta go down that way, apparently. To the inn. Is there anything else to look at? Oh, that's the inn. What's up there, I wonder? What's up here? More villagers. Run, little dwarf. We got a black hound. In the Black Hound Inn, I mean. Oh, the hound stares intently at the covered window, head cocked as if waiting to hear a particular sound. It looks up when you approach and whines a low note, tail wagging slightly. I'll pet the dog. The dog's tail thumps happily against the floorboards. Yaw. Its bones are covered in tiny bite marks. Hi. Sela, Shane, Shakes, Mulian, and Desluk, Najib Tep. Let me guess more people, yep. Sela Amund. You see a long empty road cutting through two large crop fields. The air is silent and the land seems too still for early afternoon. This woman walks slowly on the road, leading a horse, curiously looking around. She seems to sense something wrong, but is unable to discern what it is. She stops, sniffing at the air, her nose high. Her brow crinkles and she casts about, looking for something. The air is clear, no clouds. She sniffs again, still looking around, confusion clouding her face, mouthing a single word. Fire? She looks out across the fields, her confusion turning to fear. She holds her hand up to block the sun from her eyes and scans the fields again. Not finding what she is looking for, she jumps onto her horseback, the fear quickly becoming panic. She kicks, sending the horse shooting down the path, which bends around some trees to where the farmhouse should be. She pulls up short, horror now in residence of her face as she stares at the burned and charred mess that used to be her family's home. Tears well in her eyes as she kicks again, racing to the rubble. So many people. You see an emaciated boy in chains, black holes for eyes, staring sightlessly at a wall. A man in a dark coat walks in, a scroll and an oddly shaped quill in his hand. The boy glances at him expressionless, a corpse waiting for animation. The man clucks at him, disapproval clear in his tone. The boy stands, limbs hanging. The man takes the quill and begins to write on the boy's chest, copying sharp, angular symbols from the scroll. The child doesn't flinch as the quill digs into its flesh, drawing blood as it goes. The wizard finishes with a flourish and barks marking commands, setting the symbols to glow dully. The boy cries out, knees hitting the stone hard, his chest burning black and red. Finally, the glow disappears, leaving only hard black scars etched into the skin. He slumps sideways, twitching, eyes facing the back of his skull. The wizard grunts, kicking him on the leg on his way out. The boy lies on the floor until dawn, eyes still black like holes, the twitches growing into convulsive shakes. So that's why he's called Shakes. Don't know what he's about. Deathlock. You see a man soar through the air, hitting a nearby wall with a nauseating crunch. He doesn't get up. His attacker, a burly, clean-cut warrior with a carnivorous grin, turns and shoves his fist into the stomach of another assailant, removing another from the impromptu brawl. The bar is a whirlwind of elbows, knees, fists, and feet with no end in sight, and he is in his element. In the corner, three smaller men speak quietly, throwing malicious glances at the larger man in the center. He breaks a chair over a tattooed head. Cackling, the trio position themselves in three parts of the room, and with a terse nod they charge. Unfortunately for them, the man sees them coming. Something in his eyes burns brightly, and all three slump to the ground in an agony that is all in their minds. The burly man bows to a room of the unconscious and incapacitated before sauntering out, off-key whistle trailing behind him. Oh my goodness. There's so many. Oh, there's just carousers. Roaches. All the roaches. Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Oh, another room out here. I was like, there's only one room in this inn? Pretty sad if there was. Hello, Inkest.
I'll have this open in no time.
Yeah, no, you're not picking locks. Not at all. Okay. Oh, we got more people here. Strongblade, Brightblade. We got Selena Vertivo, a drunkard, a villager, another villager, another villager. But oh, Senior is a dwarf. Damn it. Listen to that drunken screaming in the background. The floorboards are sticky with spills that no one has bothered to clean. Interesting. Some kind of brown slop is congealing in the dishes. It smells burnt. Hello, Pasca. And welcome to the innkeeper looks up. Oh, it's you. Tenfrith told us what you did for him. It's such a relief to have him back. I can't thank you enough. Consider yourself a favorite of the house. Discounts on drinks, rooms. Tenfrith said he wanted to whip up something nice for you. He's already back to work in the kitchen. She laughs. So what would you like? I would like to know more about the Black Hound. Really? Well, let me see. The actual building has been here for years, but the Black Hound's fairly new. We get a lot of new faces in here too. Fewer than we used to, I'll admit. Tenfrith's the big draw. I'm sure we'll get the big crowds back again in no time. I used to work the tables, actually, until the old owner up and left. Nobody's sure what happened to him. Even left his poor hound behind. That's the name, see? The Black Hound. It's still sitting upstairs, pining for him. Pining for him? Poor old girl. Place ended up in my hands somehow, she laughs. My very own inn. A lot of hard work involved, but it's been worth it for so far. Please, sit where you like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have 2 available at the moment. I'm afraid we can't offer much by way of a good meal today, she sighs, unless you're fond of cold porridge. I could use some reliable help. Do you know of anyone looking for work? Oh, well, I wouldn't say I can speak from experience, but we do have certain sorts coming by looking for work from time to time. If you want to hire someone, I'd be happy to send them your way. Let me see what I have to work with. A level 1 adventurer. We got rooms. Inns allow characters to rest without using camping supplies. Cheap rooms are usually available, but if you have copper to spend, you may consider the more expensive rooms. The bonuses they provide last for a long time and affect the entire party. So don't touch the beer. Got it. Minor regeneration gives me 35 over 12 seconds. Minor endurance, 15 endurance. Instantly. Retraining. Party management. You can see what your allies are up to when they aren't in the party. If you've assigned them to adventures, you can see how long it will take for them to complete their assignment. Recalling a companion or adventurer from a mission before it is complete will forfeit all the potential rewards for that assignment. I didn't even know that was such a thing. Late for dinner. Can I go talk to him? Let's go talk to him. Spoons hang by the fire, coated in brownish gunk. Yummy. Tenfrith! Ah, it's you, my savior. He makes a sweeping gesture to indicate the kitchen around you. It's so good to be back. Do not think I will let this go unrewarded. I have decided that you have earned the right to learn one of my most closely guarded secrets, my dearest recipe. After this, you will eat nothing else. I've gained a recipe of savory pie. A savory pie to keep you hale and hearty. May it serve you well in your travels. So where would that be? Da, 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 da. I guess under crafting? Food. Oh, I could do the Duke's own beef loaf. Pearlwood kitchen and the stew. So where's this? I have the savory pie. Oh, not enough materials. I need some grain. And all the grain here is infected. Or dead. Good, good, good. Let's go check out some of these other people before I turn in for the night. In-game, that is. Oh, Orlin. Hello, Orlin. It's the Orlin server. Guess he's just serving people. Doesn't look like he's doing much. Selena, how are you? You see a woman emptying her satchel onto her bed, taking stock of her inventory. Potions, bandages, tinctures, and herbs are scattered throughout her room, haphazardly. She bites her lip, head tilted to the side, considering. She begins to repack one item after the other, careful deliberation undercut by shaking hands. Each item has a clearly marked place, but no matter how she repacks it, she isn't satisfied. The shaking worsens as she empties it out once more, one hand held to her mouth. Tears eke from her eyes as she gives up all semblance of order and shoves everything she can in the satchel, grabbing it and running out of the bear house. Straightening her back, she walks to the docks, chin high, eyes hard and red. The gangly young elf offers his condolences, but she can't see him for the ocean ahead of her. She wanders the docks, offering her services as a doctor to any who will listen, anyone heading out on high tide. Less than an hour later, she watches her child disappear in the distance, a tiny speck of an island, and tries not to jump. And we got Strom Brightblade. See a group of young men standing around a makeshift practice target. This man stands in the middle of them, explaining the construction and use of a bow. He holds it up, pointing out each part as he speaks about it and what it does. He then walks away from the target, telling them to remain where they are, and takes his place about 200 feet away. He carefully lines up his shot, explaining what he is doing as he does, and lets the arrow fly. He hits the target dead center, much to the surprise and delight of the boys near him. He smiles, walking toward the boys without talking about proper stance and how to most effectively hold a bow. A noise comes from the tree line near the practice venue, and he stops, scanning the woods, blue eyes squinting against the sun. A shadow moves, making its way through the forest behind them. He draws an arrow and lines up the shot, carefully tracking the motion of the hidden creature. Loosing the arrow, he wastes no time and quickly grabs another. The boys spin, watching the arrow fly into the forest, immediately lost among the trees. There is a sudden explosive movement in the undergrowth as a deer erupts from the tree line, running across the edge of the clearing. The boys laugh, turning to joke with the man about his lousy shot. They stop talking, seeing him holding the bow and leading the deer with a nocked arrow. They drop to the ground as he looses this last arrow, which flies true and strikes the deer right behind its shoulder, piercing heart and lungs and dropping it dead almost immediately. The boys stare at the deer for a few seconds and then slowly turn to look at the man, newfound respect in their eyes. He smiles again and breathes a quiet sigh of relief. Cool. So I guess he's a ranger? Archer-ish thing? I think I did everybody else, so let's go get a room. A room. To Pasca. Good day, Pasca.
Hail, traveler.
I would like a room, please. One perception, one mechanics. No. No. We'll do the common room for now. I have no party. Ah, look at the room. Got a nice fire going. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of Gilded Vale's gallows tree, creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face has shriveled inward like molding fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Oh, lovely. Suddenly, her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air, she speaks a word. Watcher. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Find the dwarf woman from the dream.
Good day, stranger.
So what is this help I can get? 250 copper? Yeah, I can't even get it if it... Well, I mean, I'm one away, but... You don't have enough money to a level 1 adventurer. I don't know if I care about a level 1 adventurer. Could help, I guess, maybe? Get some survival. Up my lore. Throw survival back down. Get my athletics back up. Yeah. Ooh, more stuff. Flames of Devotion. Calls upon the paladin's inner fire, causing their equipped weapons to... Oh, yeah, that's the one I could have taken at the beginning. Zealous Focus. Or Zealous, however you want to pronounce it. The paladin's intense and pure conviction instills clarity of purpose in him and or her and all allies, increasing their accuracy and converting a portion of grazes to hits. Cannot be active with other zealous auras. Zealous Charge. Inspires the paladin and all nearby allies to charge fiercely in the battle, increasing their movement speed and disengagement defense. Cannot be active with other zealous auras. And Endurance. Fills the paladin and his or her allies with unshakable confidence, increasing their damage reduction, converting a portion of incoming hits to grazes. Cannot be active with other zealous auras. We'll take the zealous aura, endurance one. Yeah, we'll do that. So, and speed is instant. So how long does it last? Is it? It is. Pretty. Well, let's go visit my dead hanging dwarf. Okay. Oh, you see 4 people gathered by the door to the inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hands for calm. His face is partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggest an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
I will keep to myself currently, and say nothing. One of the other men glares at the hooded elf. His eyes are red from drink, but his gaze is focused. You've got a lot of gall mocking us in our own village. We don't take ill treatment from foreigners, especially not Adrians. Adrians? Adrians.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Fie, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
Okay, wait, what?
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
He plants his feet. Something surly and raw flickers through his eyes. Interesting.
That's where you're wrong.
So this is unnecessary. Wouldn't you rather be drinking than out here arguing? We don't want your charity either, foreigner. They squint at you through red, bleary eyes. It sounds suspiciously like you're defending him. Oh my goodness. Everybody jumps to combat. I mean, fine.
Death to our enemy! Death to our enemies!
Goodbye. As the last of the attackers fall, the elf turns to you, the tension almost gone from his smooth face.
Not quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
You mean for slaughtering them? You're welcome.
Courtesy is a rare pleasure in these parts. Though your accent suggests that you are no more local than I.
He straightens his hood, and you note the remains of fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath is sturdy and fine.
Well, I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvusor, at your service.
Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire, and both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I'm grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here?
I was traveling with a caravan, but we were separated near some ruins.
In Gwithan Ruins? Oh, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. In half the locals would arrest you for trespassing and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
I mean, we'll say about the several hooded figures. Aloth goggles at you silently, apparently assessing your earnestness. Finally, he gives you a clipped, awkward laugh.
You do manage to find yourself in rather interesting predicaments.
What are you doing in Gilded Vale?
An excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expectant wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
Yep. And you? Yeah, I've been experiencing strange things of late. I'm looking for an expert on souls.
Indeed. The local lord has searched far and wide for similar specialists. He has rid himself of them almost as desperately.
He nods at the gnarled old tree in the center of town. His darting glance takes in the tumble-down buildings and the fallow, rock-strewn fields. I expect that such expertise would be best sought elsewhere. Just how did you manage to cross those three drunks?
I'm afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
You did tell that one man to go fuck his sister. That's fair. Oh yeah. Ah, that. He clears his throat and adjusts his sleeves. As I tried to tell them, they misheard me. Happens all too easily after a few pints, and the accent doesn't help. I heard the same thing. For just a moment he looks as if he's about to say something else. His expression brightens with mischief, but before he can speak, he forces a tight smile, biting his lip, so hard you expect to see blood. Finally, his face relaxes and he shakes his head. I should speak more clearly next time. My apologies. You don't exactly look like a settler.
Begging your pardon, but neither do you.
Fair.
Yet, circumstances can find a person in the strangest of places.
I should get going.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
So do I. Let's go then.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
Seems like an interesting character. I'll loot all this stuff. So what do we have?
Aye?
Yeah, you have that. Ooh, Grimoire. What do we got? Minoleta's minor missiles. It's basically magic missile. Dazzling lights. Kalikoth's sunless grasp, so icy touch. Vanna flames. It's interesting that they picked new names for everything. There's nothing in 2. Oh, that's sad. Arcane Assault. Unleash a bolt of magical energy from the Grimoire that inflicts raw damage and dazes targets in the area. 2 per encounter. And he also
I
has
shall.
Second wind.
Ready when you are.
Cool. What do you have for equipment, buddy? You have literally nothing. You have your grimoire, a scepter, rapier in the other. Do you need equipment? Wizards have the ability to learn a staggering number of spells, but they are always limited to the capacity of their grimoires. At any given time, a grimoire may only contain 4 spells of each level. Click on a spell in the right panel to remove it from the grimoire. Add spells to empty slots by clicking on the spell in the left panel. Let's see what we can give him. Obviously, he doesn't want anything too crazy. Not that I have anything. I have a hood. He has a hood. So he's good with a hood. I have a quest item. Skuldier meat's a quest item. Interesting. I don't think he needs anything then. Actually, I'll throw all this junk in my stash as well. Actually, I will take back that sword. Get away, book. So what do we got? Ring of Deflection. Boink. And then throwing that there. That. No, I don't want crafting. I want my. That. There we go. Boop. And then I can also throw that there. Can I not put it in both? That's annoying. I'll throw the medium shield on it then. Sure, that works. Onwards to visit my dwarven friend. Oh, that's right, I had to go talk to the dude. I forgot to talk to Sunweir, or whatever you pronounce his name. Sun? Whatever. Drunks having a party. We'll ignore them. Yes. So I believe it was over here. You know, nobody ever leaves the inn. If you're not an ale, I don't have business with you. Sure, I'll talk to him.
Good day to you.
Don't know who you are and don't much care. Keep walking. We're not here to chat with foreigners. Aloth narrows his eyes. Careful. Looks like they're cut from the same cloth as those rowdies who attacked me. He wrinkles his nose. Smells like it too. I saw you at the mill. What was that about? Well, someone fancies themselves a meddler, eh? What's that about? It's about Trumbull thinking he's king of the town on account of he's got the mill to his name. The dwarf's jowls quiver with rage. It's about him barely giving us anything for the wheat we bring him, and then cutting our purses when we need to buy grain. It's about farmers going hungry while some bastard gets rich off their crops. That's what it's fucking about. Now shove off. Trumbull says you've been threatening his family. Maybe I could go talk to him for you. What are you doing here? Doing in here then? Yeah. What are you doing in here then? What's it look like? Drinking till I forget how much I want to put a pitchfork through Trumbull's face. Trumbull says you've been threatening his family. Oh, I bet he has. All nobility, that Trumbull. 2 big, strong kids, pure soul in all of Gilded Vale. The dwarf sneers. Coward sending out messengers to handle his business? Well, you can go and tell him we haven't had a solid meal in days on account of him, and we can't afford a good drink on account of him. But we won't be bullied by some foreigner on account of him. What if I buy you all around? Swenir considers it briefly. He looks to the others. Fair enough. You bring us something to wet our throats, and I might be feeling up for trading words.
Good day, stranger.
Pascal, I'd like to buy a round for the fine fellows over there. Fine fellows? You're having me on. Any more fighting and I'll have to ban Swainir from the inn entirely. The innkeeper frowns. Until then, it's 6 copper pieces for the lot. Please, if you can just get them talking, I might be able to convince them to stop harassing the miller. The innkeeper studies you warily for a moment, then sighs. Well, that's alright then. Here, 3 drinks for the 3 fools. You get them off Trumbull's back, and maybe he'll be a little less stingy with his supplies. We will see. We will see.
Good day to you.
Swainir, you again. What do you want now? I have brought drinks. Hey, so you have. By the flame, I never thought I'd be so happy for a mug of the Blackhound's shit beer. Gods, that's good. Alright then, you've got my attention. What is it you've got to say that's worth a round of drinks? So we got... There's no sense in threatening the miller. You have him up against the wall. Maybe you could ask some of the other villagers for help. Or maybe you could tell me more about what's going on. I would say, ask the other villagers. Swainir eyes you for a few long moments, drinking deep from his mug. Then he sighs. You're right. Things go on like they are. We're just going to end up hanging from that tree out there. He looks to his comrades. Tell Trumbull we'll leave him be. Don't know what we'll do now with the crops failing. Haven't got another trade to speak of. Think Pasca needs a hand around the inn? Probably. Pasca?
Good day, stranger.
No, nothing from Pasca. She's like, nope, not dealing with those dwarves. Okay, back to the windmill. Oh, I see a plant. Still need to find, what's his face for the next day chat. He'll probably tell me that I could go to hell. But who knows? Hello, Trumbull.
Welcome.
Trumbull nods a curt greeting. You're back. Have you any luck with Swainir? I spoke to Swainir. Trumbull takes a deep breath. And? What did he say? I've convinced him to leave your family in peace. Why, that's... Really? That's great news. I wasn't sure you'd get through to him. They're out of their minds with drink half the time. I owe you a great debt. Here, he pulls a coin purse from his hip and pushes it towards you. Today's earnings to show my appreciation. And you can be sure I'll let everyone know that what you've done for me. Keep it. You're having a hard enough time. You're a generous soul, friend, and we'll have you to thank for making it through the coming year. Safe travels, and may you find favor with the gods. That one is complete. As we continue. Now to go talk to my dwarven friend. Find the dwarf woman from the dream. Oh, yep, she's purpley. Oh, and there's Urgeet. He's probably gonna talk to me as soon as they come around the corner. Or not.
I have received confirmation that Lord Radric's heir was not born well. My lord has issued an injunction on all new homesteads until he can be assured that the village has been cleansed of all Aothasians and whatever other undesirables that have brought this curse upon his lands.
Sounds like a wonderful lord.
It would be best if you left town as soon as possible. I would suggest returning to your old home. There will be no place for you here. You may stay at the inn until you can make the necessary arrangements, but I would not advise remaining long. I expect Lord Radric will be most thorough in his efforts to purify this place.
Tell me about Lord Radric. He comes from a line of nobles who have defended these lands since dire times. Radric II was an early supporter of Deerwood and independence during the Revolution, and the current Lord's father perished in the Saints' War. Hollowborn began appearing in the Dirwood shortly after the war's end. Lord Radric has taken upon himself to purge the curse from Gilded Vale. His measures have been severe, but necessary. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to have been enough to protect his heir. What's the Saints' War? Our age's most egregious example of man's madness. 15 years ago, the people of Riadsaras decided that Waidwin, their living saint, was the literal incarnation of the god Eothas. Urgit wrinkles his pinched nose. This supposed saint took it upon himself to liberate the Deerwood, supposedly from allegiances to less worthy gods, but I've never known an army to conquer a land for its people's own good. The war lasted about a year, but you can guess what that year did to worship of Eothas in the Deerwood. Lord Radric's forebears had all been Eothasians, but after his father fell defending us from those fanatics, he personally saw that the temple of Eothas here in town was shut down. He points at a few ruined walls near the tree. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understands our rules. Yeah, I'm going to just say goodbye. I did come a long way, but I wasn't planning on staying. Caldara de Branzi, the squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bow that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. Reach out for the woman. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out toward the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing, electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in the wind you no longer feel, from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you. Have you come here for me?
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
Yes. How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there.
She nods.
You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair. And here we are, visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either living or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well, a wonder!
What did you mean when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprout from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I survived Biawak. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
You said souls break apart over time.
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
She clicks her tongue. I want to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What happened? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations. Miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other. Turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
Farewell.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Kildara closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the noose. Your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Crucible of the Soul. Aloth looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. This happens a lot. You'll have to get used to it. He folds his arm. That's good to know, but I don't suppose you could tell me what that was all about. I'm a watcher. His arched eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that is interesting. He gives you a sly grin, and I expect this has something to do with the hooded figures in the ruins, In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about Watchers? Only that they're rare and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions, he coughs, as you just demonstrated. Let's continue on. The Old Watcher traveled to Seed Nua.
17 and a half.
Yep. The smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way down into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-colored hair, leaning against a mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
Sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
I'm sorry?
The dwarf woman.
Oh, what are you
people
talking about?
hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Aloth frowns. Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, it might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brow arched, his smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a radrick at first.
I've been out of sorts lately. Of course, we all got our bad days when we stand perfectly still and stare at corpses for a while without blinking. He winks. Do you know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Best not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be.
Huh.
Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
You think you're going to be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
Why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Radric sent men down here the other day. Said they had it on good authority someone in town was working with Kalsk, plotting Radric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Radric, then for protecting me. What does your town have against you?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea.
Yep.
Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Aloth glances at you and lowers his voice. You can see why I was eager to leave. Who's Kolsk? Someone who got tired of all the hangings. He's on the run now. Probably will be till they catch him. And if you're next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? He gives a half smile. Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there that don't think Wadewind's legacy started with Wadewind. We could travel together. Where are you headed? Some place called Seednua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
There's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
All right, then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
He tilts his head forward and gives you a pointed look. Let's get going. Yay.
Ready when you are.
Wait, didn't realize that. I mean, I guess I did, but I didn't remember.
Not a problem.
Let's go check if I can get anybody else. Hi, villagers. Squeeze me going into the inn. Sup, villagers? Oh, okay, so I can't do any more with them then. Never mind. I got my party of 3. Why is it blue now? Time of day, I guess? What do we have? 3rd level fighter. Races meadowfolk. The Deerwood farmer. The 3rd level wizard, and then me, the 3rd level paladin. Okay.
Just say the word.
Can't say no to having Matt Mercer in my group.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. So where am I going? I need to go out to Satu. Should be south. This must be over here. Yeah. Before we head out. Oh, hi. I heard they fended off another attack on Lord Raedric's keep. It's always fun. Magram's Fork. Take me 4 hours to complete my journey from Gilded Vale to Magram's Fork. Consider it done. And with that, we will save it here and call it a night. Thank you for those who stuck around to watch. Again, feel free to comment and chat with any questions or things I could do better. Yeah, thanks again and have a good night.